Yeah, we just made up one site.
Everything's still working good.
How are you?
On the bad side of Hey, you gotta swing your sword when you can.
No, I get along. Develop a pretty good reputation.
I'm saying I'm calling on my phone.
Identify your name and the town of the city that you live
Hey, Anita?
As a parent, my son was freedom while actually conveying to children that they can't do anything they want? Because I am part of a community, and because the library is a public institution, I understand and respect the fact that the LDI has these books on its shelves. The library isn't just about me and what I believe, it's about everyone in the community. It's a vital time to support public libraries like Lapeer's because sadly, misinformation, bullying, and ignorance are on the rise. Some people in my community suffer from these so intensely that it seems like they feel the need to dig into the library's holdings to find something to be upset about. They take information from the library's books out of context to blow the books, words and images out of proportion without truly trying to understand them. They allow themselves to be so offended by the material without considering the usefulness of it to others. They think this makes them freedom fighters when all they're really doing is taking away others' freedom. If you are so concerned about what your child might see or read at the library, maybe take steps to level up your parenting. Monitor your they're prepared. They've been supported by you and understanding how they feel, and they can manage those feelings. Bottom line, a person can decide that they do not want to read a particular book, that they do not want their child to read a particular book, but they cannot decide that an entire community cannot read a particular book. As a citizen, all right, we need to support the library. LDL does so much, and 7 on the lives we pass. Stop taking them to the library, demonizing it. Let's go. That there are people who have supported the removal but don't know what was objectionable.
Exactly.
We blindly support our students' practice and advance research on our own. We all have a constitutional right to freedom of speech. That includes the freedom to express our thoughts through writing, which is what authors do. There are people who have decided that they are entitled to make decisions about what I can or cannot check out from our public library. Let me use the language I've heard from them. Don't tread on my rights. That nor the right of parents and children and other adults. We still want to read where the sidewalk ends, Michael men, where Gladys are, gender queer, and so many other titles and books. In order to have balance, opportunity, and our rights, which we promise to uphold, the board needs to have a diversity of voices and be respectful of opinions that are different from their own. I hope this library board doesn't move too far in one direction and that we can all work together. My name is Nancy Roberts, and I am going to be finishing Amy Conger's. As a citizen, I know that the LDL is more than just books. I want everyone else to know this too. I see the library's calendar of events for kids, teens, and adults, packed with enrichment opportunities from Lego Club to Knitting Club and Baby Time to Tutoring. There's something for everyone. I am still sad when I think about the 2018 library, the Lapeer Library Village that did not pass. LDL does so much, but it has the potential to provide additional space, funding, resources, and support. I'd like to think of the day to come when the LDL's potential to serve its community is much grander scale is realized. The Lapeer District Library is the cornerstone of our community. People need to stop picking at it and demonizing the library. Let's use it and share it and grow it because it's a great library, because a great library makes a great community.
The other day, I picked up a pamphlet off the table in the county commission chamber. And it tells us everything that's wrong with the library. But it also has a little yellow box that says flyer intended for distribution to adults only. When I told the county commission that they should remove that and put it behind the counter in the clerk's office, it was naughty, naughty. In the 3 minutes I had to speak, I turned around and walked back to my chair, and somebody had walked into the chambers and grabbed an entire stack off the table and hid it. Now, what a lot of people didn't realize in the commission meeting when they were appointing board members, that one of the board members that was appointed, they congratulated her and introduced her, I believe probably by maiden name. Half the people in the room did not know that Mr. Kohlman was appointing his wife to the board. After the meeting was over, Commissioner Zender and I were in the hall talking, and there was a little girl sitting on a bench, her knees pulled up to her chest, her panties showing to the world, her hands over her ears, rocking back and forth. Now, somebody that's raising a child is to that point, should they be making the decision as to what my kids have access to in a library?
No.
I grew up in an age in Flint. You could go to the public library, go to referencing periodicals, and the front page was covered, but there was a magazine there. I grew up in the age of Playboy, Hustler, and College. And there were 12-year-old boys who would sneak in and go, wow. And you know what? 99% of them turned out perfectly all right. You still got the percentage that are going to go twisted. I don't approve of a lot of things that go on in this world, but you know what? I don't have to participate in them. I can explain to my kids the difference. I don't need somebody else sticking their nose into it.
For 20 years, I sat in you guys. 20 years I was on this library board. But tonight I'm coming to talk as the president of the League of Women Voters of Flint, the Flint area, which encompasses Lapeer, Isabella, and Genesee counties. The League has been in existence for over 105 years, making a difference in our communities. Every year, they look at positions on different topics. They take positions in to the local leagues. They allow them to defend those positions. Some of them are on healthcare, government, natural resources. But they've all been studied, and the positions are what should happen in the community. They've had a library position for decades, but they just within a couple of years ago added a little bit more, and it was approved by the commission. The Article 16 says, the League supports full-service public library system. Public libraries should support our First Amendment right to intellectual freedom and are playing an important role in facilitating free and open access to information. Individuals should be trusted to make their own decisions about what they read and believe. Removing and banning books from public libraries is a slippery slope to governmental censorship and the erosion of our country's commitment to freedom of expression. Third part of the edition was library staff operating within the standards of the American Library Association should make professional decisions about selection, organization, preservation, and dissemination of resources and services without political interference. I'm very concerned with what I've seen over the past several years related to the Lapeer District Library. What has always been a nonpartisan community resource has become a political football.
I was pleased to notice that information has been added to the library website outlining checkout options for minors once they are in the library home. It makes parents aware of procedures and not awareness regarding the content of some of the material or possible exposure to harmful images and information. A visit to the library should not be come with a warning label. The local media has provided much publicity for programming at the library, but very little acknowledgement of the potentially damaging exposure to books on the open shelves. I viewed a program on January 12th showing the results of a study done at Georgia University, which determined that viewing sexually explicit images had the same impact as actually having experienced the physical abuse. Think about that for a minute. Granted, they were referring to video and or online exposure, but a picture is a picture. It scars the same way. The damage is done. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It is an irreversible trauma. The books in question some of them are deliberately designed and titled in a way to attract the attention of the innocent, so that they will take it off the shelf and look before they even decide whether or not to check it out. The damage is done. Why has the previous board and directorship been so opposed to protecting children? I do not endorse my tax dollars being used in this manner.
My name is Kari, and I live in Lapeer County, but I think it's Elder Township. I live on Baldwinville. And I'm opposed to the banning of books. Book banners are not remembered fondly in history. Book banners are not remembered fondly in history.
Right,
Back in the 1930s in Germany, the Nazis started banning books. This is how they started their whole process of annihilation and then and so they did this. They started. They wanted to ban the books to alienate parts of society. Obviously, those parts of society were blacks, Jews, gays, queers, anybody that they disagreed with. They wanted to alienate them, therefore, then they could annihilate them. And we know that this is what happened in the concentration camps. And they wanted to ban these books under the guise of, quote, protecting family values and protecting children. And so then when you go down and then but if you're banning books about sexual abuse, then that doesn't prevent sexual abuse. Sexual abuse went on before books were written, and it's going to go on after. It's going to go on after. Worse if you ban the books, because then the book banning makes the victims ignorant of their own abuse. Book banning allows the perpetrators to continue their abuse. Abused, not even knowing that they're being abused. Kids are particularly vulnerable to this because of their lack of life experience. There's kids. If all you know is bad, your life is wrong, that's all you know. And then when information about abuse is banned, then the kids that are being banned don't even know they don't even know how to recognize abuse. This allows the abuse to go on and also allows the abuser to get away with it. Reading a book is not child abuse. Abusing a child is child abuse. Not allowing a child to read a book about child abuse does not prevent child abuse. Keeping an abused kid ignorant of what is happening to them, which is abuse, is abuse. The point of banning books is to protect kids. It doesn't work. If banning books is to prevent sexual assault and abuse and rape and incest and sodomy, it doesn't work.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peggy. I live in the city of Lapeer. I want to start first by taking time to thank the library staff for making the DeAngelis Library the amazing place that it is. Without their hard work, care, and dedication, we would not have the library that we all care so deeply about. We are very lucky to have the full staff that we do at every level, from the pages for career director now for Kari. Under her leadership, we have gotten new events like the Ancestry Program, as well as expanding and investing in services like the Library of Things. For those who don't know, you can check out anything from a kit to a knit or to a ghost hunting, to a Chromebook, or even a digital file scanner to preserve old photos. One of the great beauties of libraries is choice. We are so lucky to have the collection we have at our library. A library that I might add serves at least 60,000 individual patrons, at least. It is our First Amendment right as patrons and as Americans to decide that what we read for our families and ourselves and nobody else. No one gets to force us or take choices from us, which is why I urge you to say no to the idea of banning or a restricted section, which several in our community have been trying to get. Articles 1 and 5 of the Library Bill of Rights both state, 1, books and other library resources should be provided for the interest, information, and enlightenment of all people of the community the library serves. Materials should not be excluded because of the origin, background, or views of those contributing to their creation. And 5, a person's right to use the library should not be denied or abridged because of origin, age, background, race, or views. Making a restricted section would give a potential physical, language, or psychological/mental barrier to getting material. The books in a restricted section are often tainted simply by being there, thus creating a barrier for service. Restricted becomes essentially banned, and no hero has ever banned books.
Hi, Kari Kohlman, Lapeer Township, former board member. The definition of freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. In modern democracies, freedom is a right, especially the freedom of speech, religion, and press. The definition of liberty is the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views. The power or scope to act as one pleases. The definition of fascism is a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by a severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. Libraries are places of learning, and removing books from them is removing learning opportunities from people. Libraries are about freedom, freedom to read, freedom of ideas, and freedom of communication. Libraries should not be the mercy of fascists who only want to control what the rest of us think, feel, and believe. Make no mistake, these extremists do not want to just restrict books. That is only the beginning of their plan to destroy our library. A library that most, if not all of them, don't even use.
My name is Helen Carter, and I want to tell you that, first of all, the banning of books is just unbelievable that that's happening here. And I want you all to look beyond here. Okay, look beyond what's going on right here. The small group of about 50, 75 people. Book banning is a smoke screen. It's a smoke screen of power and control and covering up other things. Hitler used this tactic and other things. And as our current president is doing so successfully right now. And started when he came down the elevator. Wishing to target marginalized, unprotected people, how would you feel if you were I mean, let me ask you this. Instead of thinking about LGBTQ, think about an albino. Think about a child with a cleft palate. Think about another person who's an hermaphrodite, who has male and female genitalia. I wonder how they have sex. You ever think about that? I mean, I would think that would be on your book banning list if there was ever any books about that. In addition to the genderqueer book. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It's about a girl who her whole life wants to know what she is. And finally, there's a scientist or a doctor who did research, and there are actually 4 groups, different groups, of 4 chromosomes that create non-binary people. And that, she finally was like, oh my God, that's terrible feeling of not belonging, of being ostracized. And another thing I want to just slide in here too. I've taught for 35 years, and I can tell you that teachers do not indoctrinate kids. Really. When, why would I want my kids who I love dearly to be indoctrinated and then have to face the bullshit of the people that just nail them? Absolutely not. And I gotta say right now, the thing that bothers me most right here is the fact that the backhanded way that the county commissioners have appointed their candidates. I mean, interviews that never happened, and then all of a sudden we have candidates that are on the board. I mean, don't forget about having interviews to find the best candidates. That was never part of it. It was all about just getting someone on that they had their agenda. And so that's all I don't have a great ending.
Are there public comment?
No.
I'd be very concerned about the fact that parents are wanting the library to take over their responsibility.
Right.
It is not the responsibility of the library to control what your child reads. It is the parents' responsibility. I'm sure that they feel strongly only about what your children see on the computer. You're watching that, at least I would assume so. So why are they wanting the library to determine what their kids are going to see at the library? Somehow, parents have, in many cases, have given up their right to control the kids, and they want somebody else to take over making their decisions. Their decisions, not community decisions, not what other parents want, but their decisions. So as far as I'm concerned, parents, you be the parent. You make the decision about what your child reads, and let me make the decision about what my child reads. Yes.
And then flying in the face of what she stood for. I don't get it. It's about being a community, and that's what the country libraries are for, was to build a community. And community is about, it's defined by a sense of belonging, and then there's everybody belongs. And everybody should be able to identify something of themselves in the library that can have free access to it. That's all.
Is there additional comment?
Hi, my name is Rhonda Warren from Marathon Township. The first issue I'd like to address is the false claim made repeatedly for over 2 years that genderqueer is found in our library children's section. Genderqueer is a 240-page graphic autobiography written and drawn by Maya Kobabi. It depicts the author's life and exploration of gender identity. If the book banners had bothered to look for it in our library, instead of just repeating false rumors, they would find genderqueer in the adult nonfiction biography section, just 4 books down from the hefty biography of former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. So the truth, not a lie, is that Maria Kababi's autobiography is shelved with Dr. Kissinger, not Dr. Seuss. Writers are an amazing group of people. Complex thinkers with the ability to translate abstract concepts, layered perceptions, and imaginary worlds to others through books. Truly, writers are among the most involved and important people in every generation. Bibliophiles are readers who consume books like the rest of us breathe air. They read and understand thousands more books than the average person. Therefore, it's appropriate that libraries are run by bibliophiles. And the Lapeer District Libraries are staffed and run by a very sophisticated group of bibliophiles. So I asked this board and the members on it, have you read thousands of books? Can you quote William Blake or James Joyce or Margaret Atwood? Because if you can't, you're really not qualified to run our public library. On one side of
on the other side of me was a couple who are diehard Trumpists. For almost 30 years, I've watched them raise their kids and grandkids, and at no point did I ever think it was my right or obligation to tell their kids or grandkids what to read, what to watch, or who to love. It's just not my business. And at no time have my neighbors told each other what religion to practice or what doctrines to live by. Instead, we get along. We help each other when we can, and we try to be good neighbors. I think that's pretty standard for Lapeer County. So I have to wonder if the book banners are interfering in the lives of their neighbors, because I think they're not. But this is what you're trying to do here at the library. No one is campaigning to remove books you choose to read from the library, and you should not be making those same choices for others either. Be good neighbors, mind your own business.
Time's up.
Congratulations, Peggy Brotzke. You've been appointed to join DeAngelis and Kari Kohlman in what looks to be an ongoing transformation of the library board into a version of George Orwell's Ministry of Truth.
They don't get the reference.
For intolerant county commissioners who are rabid and radical right-wing conservatives. One commissioner has even suggested this new Ministry of Truth will use its power to remove the library's experienced and highly credentialed director because the director is following the law in the performance of her duties. It is so rich that our elected officials who took an oath to uphold the U.S. and Michigan constitutions have intentionally appointed members to this board who have openly supported the censorship of library materials in violation of those constitutions. Appointed individuals who don't live in the library district, for God's sake. Illegally appointed an individual to a seat that was not vacant. That sounds like a whole basket full of dirty laundry. In a message to the Lapeer Township Board, Peggy Brotzke wrote that her intentions to restrict access to information are in the best interest of, quote, our precious children, end quote. Our county commission supports this dangerous game that started with attacks on LGBTQ+ materials. Next, maybe the thought police will move to restrict books about racism, or books like 1984 that decry censorship and totalitarianism. They're playing the protect our children from pornography and obscenity card in their game to restrict access to materials with viewpoints or topics they don't like, figuring who can argue against protecting our precious children? The law defines pornography, and the courts define obscenity, not this board. And this board has no in loco parentis rights. It's the right and responsibility of parents and guardians to protect our precious children from the perceived dangers of library books. The library board's job is to ensure that our library provides free access to information, and it is against the law for this board to restrict access based on viewpoint or the topic of the material. For an oath to support the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan Constitution. We expect that you are true patriots and will perform the duties of your position in keeping with the laws and legal precedents of this great nation in all decisions regarding access to books and materials. And we absolutely will be here to call you out if we find any of you had your fingers crossed behind your back when you swore I've attended many library board meetings, particularly the big dramatic ones. I've heard strings of people expressing Christian faith and how certain books affect their feelings and the community based on their version of that faith. The Ten Commandments are the cornerstone of Christianity. So I find it surprising how many people who espouse Christianity have broken those commandments right in front of me as this coup has taken place to command the library board toward one religious ideology. Commandment 8, you shall not steal.
Carol Brown's seat was stolen from the person who rightfully held it. Dr. Sherman Jones had a board seat until December 2025 and had not resigned. And in December 2024, the Mayfield Township Board voted Carol into her place. They gave Brown a 5-year term, which is a violation of library law. They had not advertised the position or even let an interested party know that they would be voting. Mayfield claimed that they gave Sherman Jones a 3-year contract, when in 2011, Mayfield signed an agreement with the library for 4-year terms. Mayfield had Carol Brown sign the oath of office on January 14th before Sherman Jones had resigned. A Mayfield official called Sherman Jones and told her that Mayfield had replaced her. Based on her resignation letter, she felt pressured, some say bullied, to resign to preserve her personal and professional reputation, direct quote. When Kari Kohlman was appointed to the Lapeer County Commission, her husband Tom sat in there. No one pointed this out. There is no chance the commissioners did not feel pressure to appoint the chairman's wife. Then Tom Kohlman became liaison to the library board, a further conflict of interest. When they stood before the commission, no one asked Kari Kohlman or DeAngelis their educational, professional, or public service backgrounds, and no one mentioned the qualifications of the other 2 candidates. In December, Kari Kohlman wrote a scathing message to Lapeer Township against Kelly Nolan and supporting Brotzke, further influencing appointments. Then Truman Matthews was appointed to fill a seat, but he was disqualified because of residency. When you break laws and skirt basic ethics to steal a seat, you have broken a commandment. Commandment 9, you shall not bear false witness, aka you shall not lie. County Commissioner Kevin Knisley has been explicit about his plan for a major change in the library leadership. He wants to 86 the director and fire the leftist clown show of attorneys, direct quote. I'd like to know why Knisley feels he knows her personal politics, which are none of our business, and it sounds like false witness to me. On Facebook, Knisley made false claims about the Mayfield 5-year appointment being for a partial term. Knisley said that people opposing changes to the current library system. Next will be pedophilia you sick people will try to normalize, direct quote. Knisley's online messages feature vulgarity and harsh name-calling. His comments at commission meetings feature strong partisan language when discussing these non-partisan seats. Commandment 10, you shall not covet what is your neighbor's. These are people who lie and cheat and steal, and they expect us to look up to them as moral leaders.
Is there any other public comment?
You don't need any more.
We should all be really concerned that our freedoms are being attacked, especially through the form of censorship and the First Amendment protects against censorship. Our democracy is at stake, folks, and make no mistake, they won't stop here. Book banning is a weak response to ideas that scare some. It is small-minded, and the same people that are screaming there should be less government are the ones that want to control what people are reading. Banning books is not about protecting children, it's about discrimination. Some of our most important books that we grew up reading have been banned, such as The Follow the Wild of Mice and Men, The Catcher in the Rye, Gone with the Wind, The Great Gatsby, To Kill a Mockingbird. In fact, in Escanabia County, Florida, they had banned the dictionary. Yes, that's correct. The dictionary has been banned due to its sexual content. There is no credible data that states if someone reads a book about murder that they go out and murder someone. When I was in high school, I checked out the book Helter Skelter out of the school library. I did not turn it to Charles Manson. If someone commits a violent crime, it is due to a complex set of underlying psychological factors, not simply because they read a crime novel. In the Bible, Cain marries his sister and lays with them. Abraham marries his half-sister, Sarah. God approved of the marriage between the brother and sister. In short, Abraham married Melch, his niece. Lot's daughters did their father wine and lie with them. And 9 months later, they gave birth to 2 sons to their father. So I ask you, do you want the government controlling what you read? Do you want your librarians incarcerated simply for doing their job? And having an assortment of books readily available to meet the interests of the American people? Or do we want freedom and liberty for all? If you choose censorship, then I think we need to add the Bible to this list, simply because I don't want to encourage girls to lie.
Any initial comment? Thank you all for your comments, I appreciate it. We will now move on with the regular business of the meeting. Additions, deletions of the agenda, we require a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there no additions or deletions? Moved by Mr. DeAngelis, is there support? Supported by Mr. Valle. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carried, thank you, gentlemen. Consent agenda. Consent agenda is the approval of the minutes of the November 21st, 2024 regular meeting, the financial reports, the director and assistant director reports, and the facilities report. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Mr. Valle. Is there support? Supported by Ms. Kohlman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, folks. Board reports. Treasurer. You're up, Kari.
I have three motions for approval to pay checks. The first one is from November 22nd, 2024 through December 19th, 2024. General checking, check numbers 15488 through 15526 for a total of $24,475.20. Online bill general checking, check numbers GC 4267 through 4299 for a total of $15,703.42 for a total general checking of $40,178.62. And payroll checking, check numbers PC 2245 through 2256 for a total of $117,456.55 for a grand total of $157,675.17. Second motion is for checks dating December 20th, 2024 through January 16th, 2025. General checking numbers 15527 through 15547 for a total of $29,399.41. Online bill check, general checking GC 4300 through 4322 for a total of $10,910.81 for a total of $40,310.22. And the payroll checking, check numbers PC 2257 through 2266 for a total of $119,291.40 for a grand total of $159,601.62. The third motion are for the dates of January 17th, 2025 through February 20th, 2025. Check numbers 15548 through 15584 for $41,165.57. General checking on bill pay, check numbers GC 4323 to 4366 for $15,117.25 for a total of $56,282.82. And payroll checking, check numbers PC 2267 through 2280 for $121,528.81 for a grand total of $177,811.63.
Okay, motions have been made for, three separate motions for paying bills. Is there support? Supported by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Perry. I do not see any county commissioners here. Is there a county commissioner here? Do you have a report from the county?
They get their check or they don't.
No. I don't know who our liaison is anymore for the county. Is anybody else? Would you notify Danielle or anyone? Unfinished business. We are going to break into a closed session. We have some business that we need to conduct. We will be discussing performance evaluation for our director, and we also have our corporate counsel attorney here, and we will be meeting in closed session, and then we will come back after closed session and resume the business. Okay?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
My suggestion would be two separate motions. The first one would be to move into closed session to discuss a comprehensive written legal opinion, and there should be a roll call vote on that. The second one should be move into closed session to discuss periodic personal evaluations of director, and then I'd have the director state on record that she approves of the closed session. And that does not need to be by roll call vote, but it's always a good idea. So I have those two separate motions. If those both pass, then we can adjourn the closed session, and then come back, we can move on with both of those closed sessions during the open session.
I'll make a motion. We'll make the first motion, which is going to be 30. Motion by Mr. Motion by Mr. DeAngelis to go to closed session with our attorney. Is there support for that motion?
To discuss a confidential written legal opinion.
To discuss a confidential written legal opinion. Who's got no figure on that? Okay. And supported by Ms. Kohlman. And then we will do a roll call vote. Ms. Brotzke. Aye. Ms. Kohlman. Mr. DeAngelis. Yes. And okay, then we need a second motion to discuss periodic personnel evaluation in the closed session. Is there someone willing to make that motion? Motion by John, supported by Kari. And then we will do a roll call for that. Yes. Okay. Were you going to the Lincoln Room? Is that where we're going? Mark?
Yes.
We will be back.
At least give us an idea of what you were covering up at high
Okay, we will, I'll entertain a motion to bring us back out of closed session. So moved. Moved by Mr. Valle, supported by Mr. DeAngelis, to bring us out of the first closed session, which was the attorney portion of the closed session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by aye. Opposed, motion carried. A motion in order to bring us out of closed session to discuss the evaluation. Who wants to make that motion? Moved by Mr. DeAngelis, supported by Mr. Valle. Discussion. All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Back to our regular agenda. We need to, in your packet, you have a resignation letter from Dr. Nina Parmesan. She was our representative of Mayfield Township. I need a motion to accept that letter of resignation. Motion by Kari, supported by John. Discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. New member introduction. We have one new member. Peggy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Peggy doesn't do it, but, Peggy Brotzke, I was appointed by, Lapeer Township, and look forward to working with all the board members.
Thank you, and welcome, Peggy. Board committee appointments, action required. We have, finance committee, and we have personnel committee, and we have chair of the review of policy committee too. We need to go. Just finance? Just finance? Say what? Anyway, it's an appointment, I'm going to appoint you chair of the finance committee, since you're the treasurer. Everybody concur, Kari's our treasurer, chair of the finance committee.
So as the treasurer, he would be chair of the finance committee?
Yes.
And so what if we appoint a new treasurer? Then that would change, right?
That would,
Yes. Yeah, it seems like we should do the board officers first. Could we do the board officers first and then do the committees?
I was just going to what it was always outlined here, the
Yeah.
committee appointments first, and then board officer.
I guess because we don't have a full board right now, I'm not sure, it's not a typical way to do it. Normally they would, our officers,
You have a forum.
what's that?
You have a forum.
Okay. So the motion is then to, it's hard to say to appoint them to the finance committee when we haven't appointed a treasurer.
He is the treasurer. As of this point in time, he is our treasurer. And he's got, how many years of experience doing all this? The chairman is on the finance committee by definition.
I've been treasurer for 4 years, and I'm on the finance committee.
pleasure, folks.
So you need a motion.
I guess I want to motion. And you want to motion? Yes. I think I really need to vote.
I didn't look at your bylaws, but I would, it says extra, it states that it's action, you would need a motion.
Okay, and I want a motion.
The other, just a suggestion, the other way you could do it is, and I don't know who the other component committees is right now, is that you could appoint the treasurer, ex officials, or whoever happens to be the treasurer will be the chair of the finance committee. And that way you're not naming a person, you're naming a position.
Is that your recommendation?
It solves the issue, the concern is that you want the treasurer to be the chair of the commission. If the board wants the treasurer to be the chair of this committee, then appointing whoever serves as treasurer is the chair of the committee, I think solves the problem. And then when you vote in the treasurer, then that person's automatically the chair of the committee.
Okay. So, I would entertain a motion to name the treasurer as the chair of the finance. Kari made the motion. Is there support? Peggy? Okay. Discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same. Okay, board officers. I guess we nominate officers and officers.
I nominate Bill as chairman of the board again.
Is there support? Is there support? Okay, a motion is made to nominate Kari Kohlman as board chair. And that motion has been supported. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries. Credit card approvals. Oh, wait, we still got to do this. Treasurer. We have to do a vice chair or treasurer?
Is there?
Yes.
I thought it's just the county commission. Nobody knows what they're supposed to be friggin' doing.
And then the secretary and the only real thing is you have to do
Even if you're an officer that, maybe you have to redo redoing your bylaws to make the positions more.
Our bylaws state that we do have one of each, but it doesn't specify if that person has to be, can a secretary and a treasurer be the same person? Our bylaws don't say that it can't.
What I would do would be to, amend the bylaws to have a secretary treasurer position. I think right now it's four different officer positions by your bylaw, and I would have those appointed people right now. If you wanna hold off on, I don't know if there's anything in your bylaws that say you have to elect them tonight, if you wanna try to hold off on that, but without looking at it, I would.
It doesn't say that. There's nothing that says that we cannot hold off.
There has been, some interest in revisiting the whole bylaws issue. That is the next item under our new business.
So we can.
Bylaw review.
I usually go chair, vice chair, and then go over to the vice chair.
Motion is made to nominate John DeAngelis as vice chair. Is there support? Kohlman? Discussion? All those in favor, signify by aye. Opposed? Nays? Ayes have it. Credit card approvals. Oh, Secretary Treasurer? No, we're gonna hold off. We're gonna be there. Peggy has been nominated to be secretary. Is there support? John? Secretary. We skipped over to. Is discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Let's have it. Peggy will be the new secretary. Do we want to do it as the treasurer, or what do we want to do? You guys are.
I would vote on the secretary to the secretary and to the treasurer too, because you don't, you can't really provide a
Right. I nominate Kari Valle to be president. Your support? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Okay, and I guess you're gonna stay treasurer until okay, credit card approvals, action required. Is that you?
See any changes? Yes, for the treasurer card, credit card approval. So I'd make a motion that we keep them as is.
Okay. I'll second that. Motion by Kari for the John to keep the credit card approvals as is. Is there support? Is there discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Annual Library Board Bylaws Review. We know we need to take a look at some of this going forward, and that's whoever the new chair is gonna have to figure it out. Staff reports, we already approved them. Kara, do you have anything or not? Okay. Communications, we have in the packet, there was the library board bylaws, there's credit card limits, a resignation letter for Nina Sharma. Correspondence from Mayfield Township regarding the board appointment, correspondence to Mayfield Township regarding the board appointment, correspondence to Lapeer County Board of Commissioners regarding the board appointment, correspondence to Lapeer Township regarding the board appointment, the board meeting schedule with updated location information. Just to revisit, all of our meetings for this year are going to be held here at the Center Building, with the exception of May, which will be at the DeAngelis branch. And we do not have a meeting in August. Yes, there is. Yep. And it's already paid from here.
It has them?
Yep. Yep. And then the LDL newsletter. Do we have a report from the Friends? No report from the Friends. Board comments or requests for information? Anybody from the board have anything that they'd like to say?
Yeah, I do, and I also, for request for information, I wondered, I would like to get a copy of the current collection development policy. How to go about doing that.
It's in your policy letter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I would like to make some comments, just because so many people are here and they took the time to come and speak publicly, so.
Could you speak up so we can hear you?
Okay, sure. So I wanted to be very clear that I have no intentions of banning books. There is not, there's a rumor going around on social media, and I've gotten several emails too. People are concerned that I have a list of 2,500 books that I plan to pull up and destroy, and I'm keeping these books from parents. It's not true. It's simply not true. I would really like to find out why so many people are believing this. The only way to dispel a rumor is to go to the source and talk with them and let them know that it's not true. So if anybody has the integrity to do that, or the, you can email me. You can find my email on the library website by clicking on my name, and just maybe let me know why you're thinking that, and I'll let you know right now, if any respectful email that I get, you will get a respectful reply from me. And there are a few speakers here that I have, in the past, I've asked to sit down so we could go back and forth on our views, and each time I was refused, if nobody wanted to meet with me. So I'm a very open person, I'm an honest person. I will address any issue that you want to ask me, as long as it's done respectfully, you'll get a respectful reply. I'm a little concerned about the rumor because it's growing in intensity. I'm getting emails that are saying that I want to pull all the books off the shelf that are people of color, or gay lesbian, or Black history. I mean, it's growing and growing, and I don't think any of you here would want that to happen to you, or so I'm just asking that if you hear something, try to find out the source and find out if it's true. And I know a lot of the things you guys are saying, I agree with, and I know other members of the board, we agree that parents should be first and foremost making decisions on what their kids read. The problem is that not every child has a responsible adult to guide them.
No, that's not, sorry,
That's not true. How do you
not
know
to
that?
listen.
Oh, we're not
This is
responsible.
not your time to respond, folks.
I'm not
There will
talking
be
about,
another public comment period. For now, button it. Let Ms. Brotzke finish her remarks.
I'm sorry if that offended you. I didn't mean like personally any of you in here, but if you listen to the news, you listen to all the things that are happening, not every kid has a responsible adult in their life that can guide them. I wish it was that way, I really do. But I'm not saying, my main thing is to let parents know when they get their child a library card, what that means. Now, I tell you, there's something that I just saw on the website, which was very positive. There's a parent tab on there now that does explain it. It explains it very well, and I'm very happy that it's there. Like I said, I'm not wanting to pull books. I'm not wanting to target any certain group. It's not me. If you don't believe me, I guess, time will tell. You'll just have to wait around and see.
Bullshit.
I do thank you for all your comments, and I agree with a lot of the things that you're saying. So,
Any other board comments?
Yes, I would like to.
John? Go ahead.
Bill, I want to thank you for being a very fair chairman over the past year. And I just wanted you to know that I appreciate that.
comments? Okay, now we are back to the part of the agenda where we can have more public comment. I will remind you, if you've already spoken, you may not speak again.
Let's see.
Is there any other additional public comment?
Good evening. My name is Brian Cloutier. I'm Director and CEO of Oxford Public Library. I'm a member of the Michigan Library Association's Legislative Advocacy Committee. And before the holiday, I had the privilege of testifying before the State House Government Operations Committee on support of the Freedom to Read bills. Unfortunately, it didn't make it through our state legislature, but it is what it is. It's not because we didn't try. I will be very upfront and honest with you. Some of you have gotten to know fairly well. I'm not messing around. Your attorney here is the best library law attorney in the state. And I would argue that she's probably among the top 5 library law attorneys, if not top, in the country. If you think that you're not going to listen to her advice, you're going to learn very quickly that the people behind me, the ACLU, and I will be getting a lawyer, and she's going to get to know my lawyer on a first-name basis. You're not going to get away with this kind of stuff that you're trying to pull here. You may be pulling the wool over the eyes of many people in this county, but you sure as hell are not fooling me. And I'm not putting up with it. If you think that you're going to fool this attorney, I've already talked to my lawyer, and I'm lawyered up, and I'm ready to go, and she's about ready to meet him. So don't think about it.
Is there any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Carol Brown. I was chosen by Mayfield Township to be the next representative for the township out of 3. 3 people wrote letters, so that's how you get chosen, you write a letter. I guess I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm a little surprised to accept the resignation that I wasn't seated tonight. Can somebody explain that to me?
We haven't been notified officially.
What does
As
that
near
mean?
the- Well, we've got nothing from the township officially appointed.
Okay, is there a certain date that needed to be done by? Because I thought Julie told me she sent a letter.
Not that I've seen.
Have a township, I've been trying to contact the township attorney will call me back and I will talk to him about this.
When was I trying to talk to him?
I emailed him 2 times last week and I tried to call him today and I have not received a response.
When's the last time you did talk to him?
I don't have that information from him. But
All right. Thank you very much.
Once we get official notification, then you'll be brought in and be sworn in, and you do the, although I guess we can't do the open meeting anymore because there's no longer a notary. But you can do it.
My comment card.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comment? All right, then we stand adjourned. Yeah. 7:40.